All right, guys, it's time to talk about Annick Menardo. Are you a fan? What was the very first Annick Menardo you wore? I'll tell you the one I wore first. This one right here. Boss Bottled. The original Boss Bottled by Hugo Boss. I remember wearing it around 97, 98, somewhere around there. I can't remember the exact date. I think it might even been 98 or maybe a little later than that, but somewhere around there is when I first wore it. I think the second one happened to be either Bvlgari Black or Jaipur in the EDP concentration. So it's a perfumer that I admire. I really enjoy her creations. And lately, she's been doing flankers for Boss Bottled with a co-perfumer, Suzy Lahele. I think the first one that I really loved was Elixir. But the one that really got me going was Absolu. And even the Triumph Elixir is pretty darn good. But when they first came back, I didn't care for the Parfum, sadly. I think it was a dud. But it's a perfumer that I really love and admire. I love her creations, and I've got a ton of fragrances here that I'm going to talk to you about. This is a deep dive video. Today we're talking about a perfumer. I normally talk about different things related to fragrances, whether it's, you know, a brand or a perfumer or a style or a note. You name it, I do. And the last one I did, a deep dive I did, was almost a week ago on Saturday. It seems like people really enjoy that one. 100 fragrances as a perfume lover that you need to get your nose on before you die. So if you haven't got that, caught that video, please go catch that. But I do add all these deep dive videos onto a playlist. And so you can watch them back to back. You can leave them on and play in the background, come back, take notes, all that good stuff. And as much as I can tag, I tag the fragrances on YouTube Shopping. So if you're in the market for any of these fragrances, you can directly buy the fragrances. Let me know if you have a favorite fragrance from Annick Menardo. Let me know, as I said earlier, what was your very first Annick Menardo fragrance that you bought? Add a comment below, and let's get started with the list. So we're going to the house of Amouage. We've got 3 fragrances. Got the wrong sheet here. So one of the fragrances is discontinued, which is the first one I'm going to start with. It's Figment Man. Figment Man is a bit daring, by the way. And I think this was discontinued after the new creative director came on board. This was probably one of the latter fragrances creative directed by Christopher Chong. This is a bit weird. It's animalic. Also, it's super muddy, dirty, earthy. Dirty as in it smells like the dirt, the earth. So it starts off with smelling of the earth, and then a musk of funk comes through, an animalic musk and funk. And it's an acquired taste, but I think it's appreciative. There's 2 fragrances here that I connect to this fragrance from a few other brands. I'm going to mention them right off the top of right now before I forget. One of them is Stark's PORTRAYAL. I think that's how you say it. This fragrance is a Philippe Starck fragrance, and it's created by Annick Menardo. It has the same earthiness that you find in Figment Man. So, whoa. Figment Man, it's right here. Amouage has changed things around a lot lately. But yeah, this one's discontinued. But if you like that earthiness, not the animalic part, check out Stark's PORTRAYAL. You can find these for like 25, 30 bucks if they're still selling. Also, if you want the funk, not as funky as the Figment Man, you should check out Close Up. Close Up is a kind of a fragrance similar to Wajan, Ambre Narguilé with cherry and also a musky funk. So I feel like somehow this is the era when Annick Menardo was experimenting with musky notes, funky notes, and things like that. But Figment Man, it's quite earthy, as I said. It's spicy and it's animalic. So this has animalic notes. But to me, it's a bit challenging. And on this fragrance, I actually appreciate the animalics more than the earthy notes. It's a bit weird to wear those earthy notes, you know? It's like smells of soil tincture, soil. It smells the soil, like, basically. So you've got that, which is a bit weird, but some people like it. I like it once in a while. And then you got the funk with the animalic notes that are in here. So that's Figment Man, sadly discontinued. We've got Overture Woman next. This launched as a duo. I think it was an exclusive to Harrods for a while. I prefer the men's version, which is not created by her. I like the women's as well, but I prefer the men's a little more. This is fruity and appley and spicy. It's got a very Middle Eastern kind of a profile to it. So it's kind of, I think it's a bit spicy saffron-y. And of course, you've got that fruity apple in here. And it's ambery, kind of woody in the base notes as well. Not my uber favorite, but it does remind me of a Middle Eastern style fragrance. I think it makes sense that they had that as a exclusive fragrance to Harrods for a bit. And then they launched globally. I think it was 2019 when this launched as an exclusive to Harrods. And then in 2020 is when they launched Duo together for the rest of the world. Overture Man is quite good. The Overture Man is actually a bit animalic and musky with a cognac note. And in fact, I think this might have some boozy notes as well, the Overture Woman. But why am I getting dates from that? I do get something fruity date, including the apples as well. But this next one, I think, is so good that she's created for Amouage. Portrayal Woman. Portrayal Woman and also Portrayal Man, the duo are awesome. I love these two fragrances from Amouage. Really, really great. The men's is a Pierre Negrin creation, and it's more like violet leaves, vetiver, and leather, and spices, and I think there might even be juniper in there, giving you a little bit of the idea of Fahrenheit, maybe a little bit of the idea of Jeffrey Bean Gray Flannel. But then this right here, it's like jasmine, white flowers, spices, tobacco, and amber. So good. It's also not super feminine. The men's in the Portrayal is uber feminine. I mean, masculine. But this one, to me, since it has that tobacco, it doesn't come off super feminine. At least on me, it doesn't. So it's tobacco, it's floral, it's ambery, it's woody, it's spicy, but quite gorgeous. I mean, if you think jasmine in general is uber feminine, then I think this might not be it for you. But I feel like the tobacco kind of crosses out those kind of super intense jasmine touches. But Portrayal Woman, definitely a solid offering from Amouage. I really love that. Definitely both Portrayals, men's and women's, I wear. I think they're both really, really awesome scents. So we're going to an older fragrance next from the house of AZZARO. This is, I bought it recently, not recently, but like probably like within a year ago. It's called Visit. I've never had one of these come inside my fragrances. I think AZZARO did these quite a bit in their fragrances. Look at that. So I'm a latecomer to this series. I bought it because I heard somebody mention that this is kind of similar to Gucci's Rush. I don't know if that's true. Well, I smelled it. I think the idea of Rush is in there, but maybe it might have smelled a bit more like Gucci Rush years ago. Seems very thin and watered down. The idea is there, but it's not necessarily reminding me of Gucci Rush. Gucci Rush, I wore. Love that bottle. It was a white bottle, kind of looking like this, actually. and it had the, you could see through it right there. And it was a cedar focused fragrance, but the cedar was like realistic, like cedar chips smell, which I love. This, on the other hand, is so light, sadly. Sadly, I didn't really experience it when it had first launched. I guess I must have just skipped this fragrance, but I would have loved to have experienced it, because what I'm experiencing now is super, super light, and I'm having a hard time putting this back inside because of that flyer. There we go. But that's Visit by AZZARO. Let me know if you're a fan of that. It's created by Annick Menardo. So we're going to Bottega Veneta Illusione for her next. Happen to have one. I'm kind of unfamiliar with it, although I was for a while. I've forgotten what this was all about, so I have to refresh my memories. But I feel like it's floral based. It's floral based for sure. Actually, that's really gorgeous. Somewhat fruity, maybe. There's a spice in there that I quite like. Oh, that's actually quite gorgeous. Is this even still selling? So this launched as part of Coty. Then Kering Butte, I think, took over. Now Kering Butte is dumping all of their brands to L'Oreal. So soon, Bottega Veneta and L'Oreal. But I find this quite gorgeous. There's a crispness about it. Slightly fruity and floral. Lovely. This next one, I think, is one of the best fragrances of the 90s, the late 90s, created by Annick Menardo. I think this is around the time that she launched 3 very important fragrances. Of course, this is one of them, Boucheron's Jaipur. She launched the, I shouldn't say she launched them, she created them. Boss bottled, the original. And then, of course, she also did Bvlgari Black. So she did 3 awesome fragrances in the late 90s. And they're still around, which is awesome. And this, to me, the very first time I smelled it, man, it was at Macy's. Oh, man, I was like, wow, what is that? It's warm. It's spicy. I love the cinnamon. It's ambery. It's super my kind of fragrance, you know? Ambery, resinous, warm, spicy. I actually remember the very first time I smelled it, and I had a sales associate that I used to communicate with there. Sadly, she passed away. I used to buy fragrances from her, and she'd always, give me tons of samples. And the first time I had bought something, I hadn't even smelled this yet. And as I was walking, I saw it and I smelled it and really loved it, really loved the way it smelled. And she gave me a ton of samples of it. So I remember that pretty vividly. The very first time, my reaction to this Jaipur by Boucheron was just really in love with it. But I like its warmth. I like the spiciness. I love the amber. Yeah, it's super awesome. This is like 97, 98, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was like very similar era to Boss Bottled. But I think this Boucheron is a lot warmer than Boss Bottled. And both of them have cinnamon. I believe Boss Bottled has cinnamon. Let me know if you're a fan of this, because it smells so awesome. This is a fairly recent bottle, but it smells super awesome. This is the EDP, by the way. Jaipur Homme. Boucheron. I think they don't make much fragrances anymore, although they have this collection I have several of, but they're kind of more second-rate fragrance house nowadays. Although I don't buy jewelry, so I don't know what their jewelry is like now. But look at that beautiful blue cap. All right, so that's Boucheron, Jaipur. It comes in EDT and EDP, but that is my EDP bottle. I don't have the EDT, I should say, or do I? I can't remember now. Sorry. But let's go to Bvlgari Black. So while Jacques Cavalier was doing, he was doing Bvlgari fragrances. Annick Menardo did this one, and it's a super dark, rubbery, leathery tea fragrance with sweetness. Oh, I love that. Oh, so good. Oh, that lasted for a while until I used to go to a bar in a hotel, hang out, and the bartender and I never spoke about fragrances. And one day we were talking, and it turned out his favorite fragrance was Bvlgari Black. And, you know, this was maybe like 2017, somewhere around there. And he said he always uses quite a bit of it, and he runs out and buys another one. But later he was telling me he couldn't find it anymore. So yeah, it was discontinued. But this bottle, I think I bought around 2019. So it used to be a little different before. The whole thing was moving. They changed the design into more of like a simple cap. For a while, well, the original one was like a different mechanism. But I think it was more expensive to produce the other, and they went the cheap way. But still, you can see what the bottle was all about. I think it's one of the most iconic looking bottles and presentation. I do have a finished bottle. I think it's up there somewhere. I didn't bring it down. There's no juice in it, but it's the previous bottle. But sad this is gone. So a couple of things. This actually reminded me of Midnight in Paris by Van Cleef & Arpels with less rubbery leather. And also overall, Prada Luna Rossa Black reminds me of this, and also Midnight in Paris by Van Cleef & Arpels. The Luna Rossa Black is more powdery and not much tea, but I feel like they have similar DNAs. If you're in the market for something that smells like Bvlgari Black, check that out. The Prada Luna Rossa Black. But also, since Van Cleef & Arpels is bringing back their classics, maybe they're going to bring back Midnight in Paris. Who knows? But I'm hoping that Bvlgari brings this back. I love this bottle. What do you guys think? Have you worn Bvlgari Black? Let me know. Add a comment below. Let's go to a more cheapy fragrance from the house of Davidoff. It's Cool Water Intense. One of you guys talked me into buying this. You know who you are if you're watching. I like it. It's more of a dumb reach kind of offering. I think it's not earth-shattering, groundbreaking, but it's pleasant, kind of ambery, orangey, freshy. It might hint at the original Cool Water, but this has a bit of a orange burst, sunshine kind of orangey touch. It's an eau de... I think it's an eau de parfum. I thought it was an eau de toilette because it's not super potent, but when you're smelling it, you can smell the thickness. It's dense, not like how the original is so light. I don't have much to say about it, that it's just a great freshie with a lot of orange and ambery touches in the base. It's quite simplistic, but I feel like it can make for a easy-to-wear fragrance that you don't have to think about. You can just grab, spritz, and go kind of a fragrance. So try it. You can also buy it for like $25, $30. So it's really cheap, and plus it's 125 ml. So it won't break the bank, and you get more juice compared to a 100 ml bottle. All right. So I'm smelling the Jaipur once again. That stuff is so intoxicating. I love it. I love that warm spiciness in that one. Okay, so the next fragrance is probably what she's known a lot about. One of the fragrances that she's known a lot about. Dior's Bois d'Argent. So originally launched as I think Francis Kurkdjian did 2, and Annick Menardo did this. So it was Eau Noire, Cologne Blanche, and this. So they brought those back when Francis, took on the creative director role at Dior. It came in a presentation, and they also had like a gift set in mini bottles. And then they brought Cologne Blanche and Eau Noire. But Bois d'Argent has always been around. So it launched as that in, I think it was Eau de Cologne, and then they brought it into the Privé collection to launch the Privé collection, and it's been around since then. So this isn't the version that Annick Menardo did. She did the original, and then François Demachet adapted it to the new collection. So, but I would say this is pretty much her own design. I mean, her own creation, even though I think it's been twisted around by François Demachet. But to me, it's very ethereal. It's iris powdery, but also very creamy. There's light metallic touches running throughout it. A bit of smoke. It's incensey, and it's resinous. And the original was known for myrrh, but I think it's still myrrh, but I can't pick up a lot of myrrh. But I think it's just an ambery experience and resinous experience. I think it's still gorgeous. It's quite light though. I always associated this fragrance to being very ethereal and airy, not super dense. And that's why I recently bought the Esprit de Parfum edition of this. It's a different fragrance, but it's keeping the DNA. It's super thick and gooey. It's honeyed. I love that about it. And so you basically have this in a much more concentrated form. It's super concentrated, and I like that. It's honeyed, it's incensey, it's resinous for sure. It's smoky. This is also smoky. It also has honeyed touches, but it's not thick at all. It's very airy. And I think some people love that about it. But as a DNA, it's super gorgeous. Really, really super gorgeous. Let me know if you're a fan of this Bois d'Argent, one of the Dior long-standing Privé collection fragrances. This is my 250 ml bottle, by the way. They are no longer 250 ml. They are 200 ml now. So let's move on to another Dior fragrance. I don't have the EDT, but I think the fragrance originally launched as an EDP. It's Hypnotic Poison. And this is also recommended by somebody who told me to buy it. You know who you are. Thank you for recommending me this because it's super awesome. I was never a fan of this collection, but I think I was always smelling the EDT, which came off very light. But I actually, before I was shooting this video, I tested that particular fragrance, the only one that I tested. And on me, I like it. It's known for almonds. So I love the smell of almonds in fragrances. I also love tonka. This is acting like it's been neutered a bit, but I think there's a density, a thickness there for it to linger on. But also, because I can smell that it's a bit neutered, I can also layer that with something. I think the fragrance that comes to mind to layer that with is Tonka Hysteria. To give the Tonka Hysteria a bit more of an almondy edge, because I think almonds and Tonka go hand in hand. And so I think they would do great. It would just make the Tonka Hysteria more almondy and powdery, whereas Tonka Hysteria itself is kind of glossy, sticky, ambery. But this fragrance smells awesome. I love it. Really super gorgeous. I think I've never bought any Poison fragrances. My mom wore the original Poison in the 80s. I think it's time for me to buy the original. But I think Hypnotic Poison probably is the collection that most people find a bit more modern compared to Poison. It's been a while since I put my nose on Poison anyway. But I'm glad I got this one. It smells really quite lovely. Let me know if you're a fan of Hypnotic Poison. What do you like about it? All right, next, we're going to the house of Dries Van Noten. We've got one fragrance created by Annick Menardo for this house, It's one of the colognes. It's a large bottle. It's called Orange Smoke. Can you read Orange Smoke back there on there? Yep, there it is. So this is I don't have a lot of the fragrances from this house, but I fell in love with this. But more importantly, I fell in love with Sur Ma Peau, which is one of the other fragrances. The third one, the more recent one, I'm not sure about it yet. But I like the Orange Smoke, but I really love the Sur Ma Peau. The Orange Smoke is a smoky take on oranges. It's not super dark, but it's quite powdery to me, to my nose. But also it's an eau de cologne. That's why the bottles are larger. So you can, spritz a lot more than you normally do. In the end, it's a powdery citrus, sweet, a little tart, orange, citrus-focused fragrance with spices in the light smoke running throughout it. It's not super smoky and dark, but that light smoke that runs throughout it gives it a nice contrast. So Orange Smoke, it's lovely. It's basically a citrus to wear in the summer, but to have a little darkness with it, pretty much. So that's Orange Smoke from Dries Van Noten. This next one I had to buy for this video because I hadn't owned it ever. Oh, but I think this has kind of been like butchered to death. So I actually wore the original in the original bottle, and the original bottle is a gorgeous Art Deco bottle, black and kind of lacquer shiny. But Givenchy has put all these fragrances inside these kind of uniform bottles. This is Sirius Rouge. So it's a spicy, peppery fragrance with ambery notes and aromatic notes, I think, as well, from what I remember. It's neutered. It's so watered down. I think Sirius Rouge launched in, what, the 90s? The original launched in the late 80s, and I remember really loved the bottle. The bottle was so gorgeous. I'm a big fan of Art Deco, so the bottle was so Art Deco, so gorgeous. But I don't remember if when they launched this in the red bottle, was it an Art Deco bottle similar to the original? I'm forgetting. I never wore it, but this is just so thin. It doesn't really stand out much. So I wish I can get a bottle of the original Sirius Rouge and also the original Sirius. I love the original bottle, but unfortunately, if you're looking for a bottle of Sirius Rouge, skip this one. It's not really worth it, actually. Bummer. So that I bought specifically for this video. That's Givenchy's Sirius Rouge, created by Annick Menardo. I think this is one of my favorite fragrances of all time from Annick Menardo. It is discontinued, sadly. It just got discontinued. Nobody ever told me it was discontinued until I went to buy a bottle. But sadly, there was no bottles to be found. I hunted down a bottle. I hunted it down. So it's Bois d'Armenie from Givenchy. For the longest time, I thought that Bois d'Armenie and also Bois d'Argent were somewhat connected distantly because they both focused on resins, whereas Bois d'Argent is myrrh, Bois d'Armenie is benzoin. And so I felt like there was a connection even though they didn't smell similar. Between the two, I much prefer the Bois d'Armenie, not only because it's highlighting my racial background, but Bois d'Armenie is based on the Papier d'Armenie, which they sell in France at the drugstores. It's a little booklet of incense, and within the booklet, there's 3 strips. You pull one at a time in a little plate or something in your bathroom. You light it up, or in your living room or something, or bedroom. And it's this most amazing benzoin resin smoky smell. And that's the inspiration for that fragrance. But it's discontinued, sadly. Sadly, it's discontinued. for the longest time, I had the pump bottle from Guerlain, one of the worst bottles ever created. And I have a little bit left. It's been really difficult to spray it. So I kept it, never bought it, never thinking this was never going to get discontinued. But they discontinued it. But luckily, I found this. It's a 100 ml bottle, but I think it's awesome. It's a super awesome fragrance. If you love benzoin, this is probably one of the best benzoin fragrances. Benzoin is a resin, so it's a bit smoky, it's sweet, a bit vanillic, ambery, and they've made a fragrance out of it. But as I was saying, it's inspired by the Paupières de Harmonie. I'm going to pause the video and show you. All right, I'm glad to have had these here. I think a couple of trips ago when I went to France, I bought these from the pharmacy. They're not that expensive. So the Paupières de Harmonie is sold at the pharmacies. You can just go in there and ask them if you're traveling to France. Any pharmacy should have them. And let me show you. So this is it right here. So the Paupières de Harmonie. In fact, if I can tag them here on the videos, I'll tag them as well. So look at the little strips inside. So they're perforated. You just light up one and you burn it in a little plate. It just catches on fire, turns to ash, and then it deodorizes the space. It's awesome. I love it. And they have, I don't know what the difference between these two are. I haven't really lit them up, but the one I bought was the rose one recently. And I was lighting the rose one up. It doesn't smell like the fragrance that Bois de Harmonie is inspired from. So the rose is different smell. But I can't remember what the difference between these two are. This one says Tradition, and this one says Harmonie. I'm just going to have to try them. But yeah, Bois de Harmonie is inspired by Paupières de Harmonie, the smell. So if you didn't know, now you know. But sadly, that fragrance is discontinued. Hunt one down because it's one of the best benzoin fragrances. And if you can't, you can always try the Paupières de Harmonie. Okay, next, we're starting the series of Hugo Boss fragrances. There's going to be several here. And I did my best to find every single one that she's done. And hopefully these are correct. Most of them should be. So the first one is obviously the first one that she did around 1998, I believe. I thought it was 97, but later I was thinking about it. I think it's 98. I probably discovered it around 98, 99. A friend brought back a bottle of it. So we were dining at a restaurant that no longer exists, and there was this perfume coming from somebody, fragrance. So we kept looking around, and there was just this woman and a man that they were speaking in German. So we had to ask them, and she said it's a new Hugo Boss fragrance. And it turned out, she said it's a men's fragrance, but it smells really great. It's sweet and spicy. It's got some fruity touches. I think she didn't say the fruity touches part. She just said sweet and spicy. So she wrote it down. And a friend was in Europe, in Germany, and brought me a bottle. So the first time I wore this was around 98, 99. I love it. It smells great. It's kind of appley, fruity, but warm and spicy and woody. It's just a really great fragrance. And once again, it's been out for almost 30 years and it's still lingering around. And Boss is making tons of flankers. Although I think they just redid the whole thing. So I think they're taking the Hugo Boss bottled into a different direction with different perfumers. So I think they've put a stop into this particular direction. I don't know. With the latest release, which is here somewhere, the Boss Bottle Beyond, I don't really care for it that much. It's not Annick Menardo and Suzy Lahele. It's a bunch of Firmenich perfumers. But the original, let me put that back, is still great. It's like, I love its warmth. And both the Boucheron, Jaipur, and the Boss Bottled have that cinnamon. But to me, the Jaipur is much more like a holiday spiciness. And the Boss Bottled is more fresher because of the freshness of the apples. It's a great DNA. So that's Boss Bottled. Then we've got the Elixir. Wait, no, the Absolu, I should say. The Absolu is definitely one of my favorite flankers. In fact, it was definitely one of my favorite men's releases last year. This year has been a dud year for men's releases. Most everything is dud, including the Boss Bottled Beyond. I don't hate it as much as some other releases, but the Absolu, oh my god, it's super sexy. Super, super sexy. Spicy, a bit smoky, it's earthy, it's quite woody and ambery. I mean, they haven't really kept the DNA. Like, does it smell anything like the original Boss Bottled? No, it doesn't. But is Boss Bottled Absolu good? It's so good. Really, really great. So the original obviously is created by Annick Menardo. The Boss Bottled Absolu is created by a co-perfumer by the name of Suzy Lahele. And so it's a co-creation between the two perfumers. Both of them at Simrise. So I believe Annick Menardo started at Firmenich, from what I remember. Now she's with Simrise. But the Boss Bottled Absolu is so good. If you love designer fragrances, this is one of the best. Totally one of the best. And the bottle is also super gorgeous. Now, why did they dump Simrise perfumers went to Firmenich? Because they also launched the citrusy release, which I thought was decent. Nothing groundbreaking, but I thought it was pleasant for a summer release. That was also a Firmenich perfumer. So I don't know what's Boss doing. They're twisting things around, moving around. But let's go to the Elixir next. The Elixir was also good. The Elixir was the one that really started me appreciating the flankers from Boss Bottled again. The Elixir is, to me, not as sexy as the Absolu. It's also a bit more Middle Eastern style to me. It's a bit oudi, ambery, incensey, resinous, spicy. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I love both. But I think the Absolu is a bit more interesting to my nose, and I enjoy it more. But both of them are really, really great. Great job. For men's designer fragrances that are also not super expensive, like the new Chanel, Bleu de Chanel, which is like almost $300. With tax, it is $300. You can get these that are smelling so much better. And it's like $100 less. $125 less. No, $100 less. You can get it at the discounters for $200 less almost. This is good. Both of these are really great creations by Annick Menardo and Suzy Lahele. So yeah, they're co-creations. What do you prefer? Let me know. Add a comment below. Again, I do go for the Absolu more, but the Elixir is also really, really great. Okay. So I wasn't a big fan of this next one, but it grew on me. Okay. This is Boss Bottled Oud. Sadly discontinued now, but when I first smelled it, the oud came off a bit moldy to me, which oud is. This is a Western oud. I think it's an accord for sure, and the Cypriol is super prominent in this. And the apple is much juicier and in your face compared to the apple in the original Boss Bottled. So it rubbed me the wrong way a bit, but it's grown on me quite a bit. And I actually really enjoy it as a simple, easy to wear men's fragrance with Western oud featured in it. I think the apple also makes it easy. There's also, like, I think they've kept the cinnamon in this as well. There's a warmth in here. I like it. I mean, it took me a while to grow on me, but for some reason, I reacted negatively to this at first. Let me know if you're a fan of Boss Bottled Oud. Do you have a bottle? Can you still get it? So the next two are also part of this kind of series of Middle Eastern style direction of flankers of Boss Bottled. I bought them, was going to do a video of the oud and the aromatic and the saffron. later when I went to do a video, they were not selling anymore. They were gone. I think they got they are discontinued for sure. But this is Oud Aromatic. And I don't have too much experience with these. I mostly have them as a collector. So Oud Aromatic, having aromatic notes with the oud and the Boss Bottle DNA. Let's smell it. It's been a while. I smell that. It's been a while since I've smelled it. Why am I getting some candy touches in here? It is quite spicy. I'm not getting the apples. It's giving me candy vibes. But, yeah, I bought these two. I got busy, forgot about them, and I was going to do a video. Then I went to look them up, and they're not selling anymore. I bought both the Aromatic and the Saffron from FragranceNet. I think they're fun. I need to test it out and wear it, but since they're no longer, I felt like just hold on to them. As a collector, it'd be nice to have these to pull out once in a while. So this is the Oud Aromatic from Hugo Boss Bottled series, created by Annick Menardo. I think these are individually by her. There's 4 fragrances with Suzy Lehele. And this is the Oud Saffron. This bottle is so beautifully red. All right, let's see. Like I said, it's been so long since I've tried this Saffron and Aromatic. This one smells like wine, like mulled wine. It's getting deeper and a bit more metallic and leathery. I kind of prefer the Aromatic more than the Saffron. I don't think they're as solid as the original Boss Bottled Oud. But if I had to choose between the Saffron or the Aromatic, I would go with the Aromatic. Why is this giving me wine? Anyway, that's Hugo Boss Oud Saffron, Boss Bottled Oud Saffron. And the one I don't care for from the series that both Annick Menardo and Suzy Lehele did is the Parfum that launched before the Elixir. The Parfum is so... I don't like it. It smells cheap. It's got that kind of reminder of amber woods that they use in a lot of men's designer fragrances. The ones that are like cheap, so there's a kind of a cheap smell to it. So it's got this kind of a marine, watery, ambery, salty, woody kind of a touch. It's just kind of doesn't excite me at all. And I was very excited when I got that. You can see my review of it. I was quite negative about that. I don't care for it still. But then we've got the Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir. That's also a good one. But for me, okay, so between all of the flankers with Annick Menardo and Suzy Lehele that started with the Parfum would be at the way bottom. The Elixir, one above that. The Triumph Elixir, one above the Parfum. The Elixir above the Triumph Elixir. And Absolu takes the #1 spot. But the Triumph Elixir and the Parfum are so far apart from one another because the Triumph Elixir actually smells great. The Parfum doesn't. They've intensified the patchouli in this one. So I think basically it's the Elixir and they've added more of a patchouli DNA to it. But for me, the Absolu comes off more patchouli than this. But this is more of an offspring of the Elixir, and I feel like the Absolu is a bit more different. But still good. Yeah, I'm bummed that they've moved on to a different firm from using Annick Menardo and Suzy Lahele to create these. They've gone to a whole set of new perfumers at Firmenich with the new the Boss bottled Beyond fragrance. So I don't know how that's performing, by the way. It's actually a bit better than Paradigm by Prada. That's also a release that came out this year, and also the same perfume house, Firmenich. But the Beyond is definitely a downgrade from the ones that we got the last several years from Hugo Boss. Okay, we're going to talk about a discontinued fragrance that happened to be one of my all-time favorites from this perfumer and also from this brand. And for the longest time, I thought this was a perfume that was created by Annick Menardo, but later, I think another name was added to the databases, Olivier Cresp. So that's why I feel like Annick Menardo at one time worked for Firmenich. So this is Jean-Paul Gaultier's Kokorico. Do you guys know this fragrance? So you guys know the story of me wanting to do fragrance review videos because I stepped into an Uber in 2011 when Ubers were only black cars, and the Uber driver was wearing L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau Extrême. So on my hunt to find a bottle after I smelled it, because nobody was selling it in the States, it never got a release here officially, I ended up with a bottle of Kokorico. Similar idea. So it's cacao, it's patchouli, it's woody. There is a green fig note in here, fig leaf. It's so good. It's so yum. So yum. It's dry and dusty, and it's more cacao rather than chocolate, so it doesn't come off creamy. But that contrast of the green fig note, fig leaf note, is such a breath of fresh air. So for a while I was wearing this, waiting to fly to France to buy a bottle of Lidge, which is known as Lidge, L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau Extrême. It's not identical, but kind of maybe similar ideas, whereas L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme Eau Extrême is cacao, it's patchouli, it's star anise. It's also much more syrupy, whereas this is drier. It's chocolate or cacao, it's patchouli, it's woods and fig leaves. So different fragrances, but similar kind of ideas, I guess. But this is really yum. It's so super yum. Awesome fragrance. I hope there's a flanker to it called Kokorico by Night that I want to get my hands on. I can't because it's been long gone. I wish I can get my hands on it, but I think it was a bit more not more interesting. I think it was I don't know, something was different about it. I only got to smell like a sample of it, and I hope to get my hands on it just to have it as a fragrance I can collect. Okay, this next fragrance is a fragrance from the house of Lalique. This is Angers Indigo. So Angers Noir is a long-standing collection of fragrances from Lalique, mostly created by Nathalie Lorson. I believe the ladies Pour Elle, Angers Noir Pour Elle, is a different perfumer. But I think Lalique has decided to start a new series. I don't know how it's performing, the Angers Indigo. But they're keeping the vetiver, but they're taking it into a tea direction. So it's a smoky tea, smoky vetiver kind of a combo. Not too sweet, but there's some sweetness. There's smokiness for sure. It's fresh and aromatic. I was thinking if they threw in some vanilla or something in here, it would be a bit like Midnight in Paris, but no. How do you guys feel about this fragrance? Is it as exciting as Angers Noir? I think it's in a blue bottle, so they're kind of trying to appeal to the blue fragrance lover crowd. I think it's just a bit dark and smoky for those folks, personally. But I actually enjoy it. It's vetiver, as I said, and tea. It's fresh and aromatic, smoky, spicy. So that's Ancre Indigo. This is the first in the series. Let's see if they're going to do multiple in that series. Next, we're going to Laura Biagiotti. It's Roma Uomo. So there's a new flanker of this that's also created by Annick Menardo and Suzy Lahele. I haven't been able to get my nose on it or hands on it. It's in a complete black bottle. So it's a new flanker that, I guess, similar to the Bois bottled. They've gone back to the original perfumer to create a flanker, but this brand is not really sold much here except for the discounters. This fragrance also gives me the idea of Minotaur a little bit, and also what's the name? Nikos Parfums Sculpture Parfum, or Sculpture in general. It's kind of in that same creamy, fresh ambery kind of direction. But it's super light, super light. So I'm wondering what they've done with the new flanker for this, especially since it's created by Annick Menardo and Suzy Lahele, just like some of these flankers. I just hope it's not as bad as the Parfum. It could be. I think Roma is okay. It's quite thin, but it's okay. It doesn't seem like it's completely lost its magic. Whereas Minotaur by Paloma Picasso, it's so super thin, it smells like, you know, sweet water. This one, I think you can pick up a little bit substance in there. Still, it's thin. It's gone butchered, watered down all throughout those years. So that's Laura Biagiotti Roma Uomo. Are you a fan? Let me know. So there's two fragrances created by Annick Menardo for the House of Le Labo, at least two that I have. First of which is the Tokyo exclusive called Gaiac 10. You know, there are some fragrances from this house that I really love, but I wish the performance was better. I just don't think they're in the market for performance. They've never launched an extract. They've never launched anything that's super potent. Everything is eau de parfum. A lot of their fragrances are super light wearing for me, but really great smells. Gaiac 10 supposedly is their second bestseller of the whole house after Santal 33. But Gaiac 10 is a city exclusive, so the only place you can get it is in Tokyo, unless you wait in September and buy you know, when they have the city exclusives available everywhere. So it's Gaiac wood, it's smoky, incensey, musky, not super strong, not super intense, but smells lovely. Really, really lovely. There's a coziness about it. Most likely there's musks. They use quite a bit of musks at Le Labo. The base notes are quite musky. It is great. It's just so expensive. I always thought that the city exclusives were expensive even like 10 years ago when fragrances were not that expensive like they are now. But they're quite expensive. And they are never discounted. Never, ever, ever discounted. Even as being part of Estee Lauder, you can get deals and discounts on Tom Ford. I never get discounts on Le Labo. I haven't bought a Le Labo for 2 years now. Last one I bought was the Shanghai City exclusive, the Jasmine. I can't remember now. Anyway, Tokyo, the Gaiac 10, the Tokyo City exclusive is quite lovely. Now there's Patchouli 24. That's also an Annick Menardo, but don't go in thinking this is going to be patchouli like psychedelic, or even the patchouli in something like this fragrance, the one I worked on, Juice Boxes 54. No. This to me is more smoke. It smells like barbecue. The types of notes that they're using here, it's birch, cade, those kind of dark smoky notes. Comes off a bit leathery. But the patchouli is like pushed to the back, you know, pushed to the ground. Also, if you guys are fans of imaginary authors, Memoirs of a Trespasser reminds me of this Patchouli 24. So if you don't want to buy Patchouli 24 because it's so expensive, you can check out Memoirs of a Trespasser. I feel like there's differences. They're not identical, but it reminds me of it. I actually like this. It's got a bit of a barbecue-y touch. I think it's the cade and the birch that they're using. I can't remember which one she uses in this. It's either cade or birch, but it's super smoky. Let me know if you're a fan. Yeah, don't go in thinking it's going to be super sexy patchouli. This is not. This is like less patchouli, more birch or cade. I don't even know why it's called Patchouli 24, but then that's what they went with. So next we've got something that she did. Yeah, I think it was also in the late 90s this came out. So this is Lolita Lempicka in the EDP for the ladies. I think this came out in the late 90s, or is it the early 2000s? I'm a bit not certain. And this is fairly new. I actually bought 2 fragrances for this video. That one and the Xerius Rouge. At least the Lolita Lempicka EDP smells a bit better, although it's an eau de parfum, so there's the thickness there, but I feel like it's a soft fragrance. It's soft and powdery and soft and spicy. So what I like about this and the men's is that their usage of licorice and anise, 2 of my favorite notes in fragrances that don't get used quite often. And they are featured here and in the men's version called Homme Masculin, which now is just called Lolita Lempicka Homme. I'm still not sure about the EDP version of Lolita Lempicka for the ladies. It's not super exciting, but I can smell something in comparison to the Xerius Rouge. The Xerius Rouge is dead. What they've given me there is just water. But the Lolita Lempicka is quite lovely. It's just soft, you know? Anyway, it's quite powdery as well. So that's Lolita Lempicka in EDP. And then we've got the formerly known as Homme Masculin. It's now known as Homme. So I don't know how much is changed from the original to this. I never wore it. And also they haven't credited her to this version. And I have a feeling it's her formula that's been adapted to now or modern days. This is quite light, but I can definitely smell the licorice anise touches, which I love. This is eau de toilette, I believe. Yeah, it is. That's the good thing is I can smell the licorice anise touches, and that makes me happy. It gives me the idea of anise tea. I don't know if you guys ever had it as a tea. It's good for your tummy, by the way. Oh, it's lovely. It's quite warm and soft and spicy. For an eau de toilette, I like it. Then we're going to the house of Mind Games. So we've got one fragrance that she's worked on called Asuli's Diamond. So I think the main perfumer for Mind Games is a Simrise perfumer. Christelle Laprade, I think is her name. I think since they're working with Simrise, well, I think that's what it was early on. I'm not sure if that's the case now. The Asuli's Diamond, I think, is one of the first drops of Mind Games fragrances. And at that time, it was all Simrise perfumers, mostly Christelle Laprade. This is powdery to me. Is it iris I'm smelling? It's resinous and ambery as well. Super spicy. Yeah. It's been a while since I've smelled this one, so I'm not able to report on it that much. But for me, there's some ambery touches there, woods for sure, and it's acting very powdery. So I feel like it's kind of like a iris and resins kind of a fusion, giving me some ambery touches. So that is Asuli's Diamond from the House of Mind Games. But this next fragrance, one of my favorites of Annick Menardo's, it's Close Up from Olfactive Studio. And remember, I was mentioning earlier, so there's a connection between this Close Up and Figment Man by Amouage, and also the Pot d'Allure from the Stark with Figment Man. So I get the muskiness in Close Up that I do in Figment Man, but Figment Man is a lot more musky than this. This is a bit gourmand, a bit fruity, and also musky. It's very fuzzy. I love it. It's super sexy. And I think that same musk that's in Close Up is amplified in Figment Man. It's so strong. But this Close Up is so delicious. Oh my God. It's so super sexy. I actually just spoke about this in a video and I can't remember now where. But if you don't know this one, do get it. If you like that Wajan DNA with a bit of cherry and a lot of musk, super sexy. Super, super sexy. And it smells animalic, but the right amount, you know? It's a fuzzy, musky, animalic touch. That is so good. It's become a favorite of mine from this house, Olfactive Studio, Close Up. I love that fragrance. Let me know if you're a fan of it. We're going to the house of Penhaligon's next. It's Sports Car Club. I think this is... Well, I think I heard that it's coming back. It was a limited edition for a while. I love the color of the juice. Look at that green, man. So sexy looking. All right. From what I remember, this was a cypress-focused aromatic fragrance. Yeah, I can smell cypress. Cypress is got an interesting smell with just a bit minty, a bit eucalyptusy, a bit piney, all mixed together. So it's very aromatic, woody, green, spicy, a bit spa-like. It's outdoorsy. It's a great smell. Wow, it's developing to something menthol-like. Very menthol. Super menthol, actually. I think this actually has eucalyptus now that I'm thinking about it, because it smells like eucalyptus. Anyway, that is Sports Car Club. I don't know why, but it's giving me flashbacks of when I was in Pebble Beach for Concours d'Elegance once, because there's all kinds of really awesome cars there. And there's a lot of eucalyptus trees and, you know, cypress and pine trees. I don't know why I'm thinking about that, but that's what it reminds me of. Anyway, that is Sports Car Club from Penhaligon's. So this is also, I guess I bought 3 bottles of fragrance for this video. I really don't have anything from this house. I have actually talked about this house once on the channel, and I don't have that fragrance anymore. And this brand also has these luxury higher end fragrances that are at the discounter. So I thought, oh, she's created that one, and I love tobacco and fragrances, so I bought it. So it's Roberto Cavalli's Tobacco More. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. You love tobacco fragrances, guys? So this is super sticky and ambery, but also very vanillic. There's a slight smokiness in there, but also like a Middle Eastern twist to it as well. There's amber woods in the base, but there's a warmth and snuggly touch about it. So in the end, it's acting gourmandesque, not super tobacco-ish, but the tobacco is there. It's also very spicy. It's a bit smoky. It I know what it's reminding me of now. It's reminding me a little bit of Babylon from Penhaligon's, actually. A little bit, not too much. This is more spicy. Like, it's got a lot more spice. I think the tobacco in here is also contributing to its spiciness. All right, that is Tobacco More from Roberto Cavalli, my very first for a long time from this house. All right, next we are talking about Stark Paris's Pot de l'Or. And this is Philippe Starck, who's a architect, product designer, I think. He launched fragrances. They were at Neiman Marcus here. It was 3 different fragrances. I know one was by Annick Menardo, which is this one. There was one from Dominique Ropian, and it was the 3rd one by Daphne Bouget. Can't remember. Then there were several others that launched. This one to me is earthy, and it's the earthiness that's in Figment Man. The same earthy notes, but it's freshened up, whereas that goes animalic, this goes into a fresher direction. So the earthiness is right away. This is what you smell with Pot de l'Ors. But it's surrounded by freshness, so it doesn't weigh it down. Whereas the Figment Man is so earthy, and then it gets animalic. I actually, in Figment Man, as I was saying, I like the animalic part more than the earthy part. But the earthy part there is also a bit more overwhelming than the earthiness here in Pot de l'Or. Yeah, as I said, these are selling now for really cheap. I don't know if there's stock out there. There's 3 of them. Actually, no, not there's more than 3 of them. There's probably like 6 of them now. 6 or 7, actually. We've got 3 fragrances from the house of Une Nuit Nomade. And the first one is Bohemian Soul. And as far as Une Nuit Nomade goes, these 3 fragrances are the ones I know least about. Then these are the ones that are created by Annick Menardo. And I believe these are from the very beginning when the brand just launched. I actually discovered the line in 2019? 2019 is when they had put it out. So Bohemian Soul, it's spicy, it's woody, it's fresh. I'm getting sandalwood. It's super cozy. There's a little spice behind the scenes that's, you know, giving it a bit more of a wake-up experience rather than being super comfortable and cozy. So that's Bohemian Soul. Then we've got Memory Motel. Who's a fan of Une Nuit Nomade? Let me know, add a comment below. This one is acting smoky and woody. Almost smells like a campfire. It's quite lovely, actually. Wow. I'm going to spritz some of that on. Memory Motel. Yeah, it's a bit smoky. It smells like Gaiac wood. Somewhat leathery, but more smoky, but there's a creamy factor about the woods. It's super cozy. So that's Memory Motel. And then we've got Rose America. From what I remember, this was kind of a salty rose. Let me just think if that's correct. Not necessarily. It's a fresh, jammy rose. I thought for some reason this one was a bit of a salty rose. Wow. It's quite jammy, actually, but with a lot of freshness surrounding it. Definitely leans feminine for sure. The previous two were not. This one has a younger, kind of girly touch about it. It's reminding me a little bit of Rose Magnetic from Essential Parfums. A little bit. This one's a bit deeper, actually. So that's Rose America. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Now, this next one. This is from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, YSL. This is a brand new flanker that had come out. Also still connected to a very long-standing series of fragrances from YSL. This is Body Kouros. So I bought this early on when I first got on the scene of reviewing. This is actually eucalyptus and incense. This is also kind of somewhat connected to Bois d'Argent and Bois d'Armenie. But this is more, you know, signature line designer series. This is also a bit oily, a little gasoline-y. Like there's a bit of a gasoline-like smell in there. But I actually really liked it. And I've stored it away because I don't think it's that available. This bottle is from 2012, so, but the kind of fragrance it is, it's all dark resins. So nothing is going to go bad in it because it's all deep notes. There's no fresh citruses in there. And to me, this smells like I remember it smelling the first time I smelled it. So Body Kouros was a complete departure from the original DNA of Kouros. Something new, but maybe there's some light funk in there. Maybe light funk. That's really good. The Kouros that I didn't care for was Silver Kouros. That was awful, guys. That was really, really bad. But I've been a big fan of Kouros. I have several Kouros up there. The one I want is the... I don't think I can get it, but the O, I believe there's an O. I can probably hunt it down. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about from Annick Menardo is YSL's Lavalier. So I bought this not knowing it was her. And I bought it because I smelled it at Neiman's and I fell in love with its juiciness. It's figs and rose. Acts a little bit like Lombardon Low, but it's fruity, it's succulent, it's rose, it's fresh and green. Really great creation for the Le Vestiaire collection. I think that's what it's called, right? Losing it. This is really good. She did so good in this. There's faint reminders of other fragrances. It's got greenness for sure. It's got very juicy qualities. But the rose is there for sure, and the figs. It's not only the fig leaves, but the fruits. It might remind a little bit of Rouge Trafalgar, but I kind of like this more. It's a bit more substantial than the original Rouge Trafalgar, but I have the Esprit de Parfum version as well, and that one's much thicker. But if you like Rouge Trafalgar, definitely try Lavalier. Gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. So it says accord fig and rose. That's the last fragrance, guys. We've done it. We've done the fragrances of Annick Menardo. Of course, I don't own everything, but I was able to do as much as I can. She's got a great body of work, as you can see. And without even knowing her, I was wearing her fragrances. Well, I don't know her personally, by the way. Without even knowing of her. Started out with this. And then these two came along. So, yeah. Let me know which of these fragrances you're a fan of. Let me know why do you like them. Is there something that you like that she's created that I don't have here? I was actually looking at the databases, and I think I have pretty much the most important things. There might be one or two missing, but I do have some of her most important things here. But let me know what's missing. Also, as I said, these are all tagged. If you are in the market to buy them, you can buy them. And definitely look up Papier d'Arménie, which is the inspiration to Bois d'Arménie. Sadly, Bois d'Arménie is discontinued. I'm really disappointed why they did that, but I think when they keep cranking them out, they gotta discontinue the ones that are not selling. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like the video. Please share it. Please subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon so you'll be notified for future videos. And I'll be back with more very soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.